Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or maybe good evening, wherever you are in the world that you are tuning in from today. We are so excited to have you join our live broadcast for the month of May. We have a lot of exciting topics to talk about. But before we get started, you might notice that our chat feature is not available during this broadcast. We are trying a few different tests to see what might work best with submitting your questions and getting your information that you want out to you. So we appreciate your flexibility with our chat feature not being available to you today. If you do have any questions that maybe don't get answered during the live broadcast, not to worry, we want to make sure that we answer those questions for you. You may reply to the automated email that you receive of the live broadcast recording after the broadcast is finished. And you can always reach out to a recruiter if you are not part of our program, or if you are already a member of Health Carousel's program, you can always reach out to your current assignee, whether it be your international programs associate, your international deployment advocate, and they will be happy to answer your questions that might not get answered during the live broadcast today. But like I said, we do have a lot of exciting topics, so we will go ahead and get started. If you have not joined in to a live broadcast previously, or maybe you don't know who I am and we haven't met yet, my name is Courtney Wilson, and I am the Associate Manager of our International Recruitment Team at Health Carousel International. I'm very excited to have you all join the broadcast today. Like I said, we've got a full lineup of content ahead with a lot of exciting topics. We want to make sure that we inform you, support you, and encourage you as you're gathering information and preparing for your life in the United States. We are going to recognize our nurses, talk about housing, different career growth, and this month's Visa Bulletin, which I know is a very popular topic and something that you all look forward to when joining the broadcast each month. So since we have a lot packed in today's session, make sure that you stay around. But if you're not able to stay until the end, like I mentioned earlier, you will get a copy of this recording. So not worry, you can always go back and watch it again. All right, so I am going to welcome my colleague on. I am going to be accompanied by Miss Presley. She is an international employee supervisor, and she is going to help us to celebrate our April Employee of the Month. Hi, Presley. How are you doing today?
Hi, Courtney. I am doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing lovely. It's beautiful. The sun is shining outside. It's a great day.
It is definitely a great day, and it's always a joy to be part of this broadcast, especially when we get to recognize our amazing healthcare professionals in our program. Again, my name is Presley Owusabonsu, and I'm so excited to be here with you all as we celebrate our April Employees of the Month. Now, every month we take time to recognize incredible international healthcare professionals who are making lasting impact in their workplaces and living out the values of Health Carousel with excellence and heart. Before we reveal this month's winners, I want to take a moment to recognize all of our amazing nominees for April. Please join me in congratulating Sheila Marie, Christine, Lillian, Danilo, Sylvie, John David, Ichia, Isan, and Shayla. You are all nominated for your outstanding care, professionalism, and the positive energy you bring to your teams and at Health Carousel. We're incredibly proud of everything you're doing in your communities. And now, if we get some drum rolls going, I am thrilled to announce that our April employees of the month are Shayla and Lily, who is also Lillian. Can we give them a round of applause? Congratulations. Now let's take a moment to highlight what makes each of our winners for April so special. Shayla approaches each day with purpose, choosing to focus on the small wins even during the most overwhelming shift. Her ability to find calm, stay grateful, and support her patients with heart truly stands out. Along the way, she's leaned on healthcare herself for steady support as she adjusted to her new life in the US. Now, for Lily's journey, it began with a dream and the courage to take the first step. She's grown into a confident, skilled nurse who values hard work, kindness, and staying grounded in every challenge. Health Carousel's guidance helped her turn that dream into reality, one shift, one milestone at a time. Now, we're so happy to have Shayla and Lily joining us live today. So let's hear directly from them.
Hi, y'all.
Hi, Shayla.
Hi, Shayla. Hi, Lily.
Hi, Lily.
How are y'all?
We're doing good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome. We're awesome.
We're super
Perfect.
excited that y'all are joining us live. I do have some questions to ask the both of you, and I'll have Shayla go first. What does winning Employee of the Month mean to you?
I think Shayla might be experiencing a few microphone issues, so hopefully, maybe while she's able to get that sorted out. Lily, congratulations on winning Employee of the Month. Maybe again, while Shayla's figuring out her microphone, we can have you answer the question.
Yeah, sure. I'll take over. so
Perfect.
yeah, so winning Health Carousel's International Employee of the Month is really, I mean, it's such an honor and a privilege as well. And also, it's like a personal reminder that even though on an exhausting day, you're being overwhelmed or unsure of myself, I'm still making a difference. And it's, whenever you're on duty, whenever you're working in the middle of chaos and challenges, it reminds me of that what I do matter, what do nurses do matter. So it's a big thing that it's just not the job. It might be cliche that I say it's a purpose, but it is. It's a purpose. And I mean, I've been part of helping someone through their hardest times and in their life. That means everything to me. And this recognition will, inspire me to keep going, keep continue what I'm doing, and do the best I can every single day.
This is
Oh,
amazing, Lily.
I love that. And honestly, it's such an honor to have nurses like you part of our program because the work that you do does matter. Again, it could be hard to maybe see that day to day, when you're just feeling like you're working another shift, but the work that you're putting in and the appreciation that you get from your patients is all worth it at the end, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Shayla, can you hear us now?
Yes, I
Y-
can hear it now. Sorry for that.
Oh,
Yay,
all
all
good. It
good.
happens.
So, what does winning Employee of the Month mean to you, Shayla?
Well, this is very overwhelming, to be honest. Being nominated as Employee of the Month is overwhelming enough, and I wasn't expecting to win this. I was just doing my best because I grew up with my mom's voice in my head saying, "Just do everything, do your best in everything that you do, whether people are watching or not, because somebody up above is watching you and will reward you handsomely, in ways you can't imagine." But winning this definitely boosted my morale, and um, it's I said, I'm doing the right thing, because sometimes working at bedside makes you wonder if this is the right career for you. With like, sometimes it's very exhausting, and like, is this the right path for me? But winning this kind of um, encouraged me that I'm the right path and this is where I belong. So.
Oh, that's really inspirational, Shayla. I appreciate you sharing. Now, that leads us into our next question. Shayla, you will go first. What was the biggest cultural adjustment you had to make when you moved to the US?
I would say number one, pleasantries, because as a Filipino, I think Lily can relate to this.
For sure.
We are not like we even avoid eye contact if you don't know anybody, but you guys are just very pleasant, and getting on the elevator with somebody saying, "Hi, how are you?" and all that. It was kind of shocking. Oh, I don't even know that somebody, but I guess it's a thing. And I have learned to adjust to that, though. And it's very nice for one coming into work, like very tired. And then somebody goes on the elevator with you, for example, and just says, "Have a good day," with a smile on their face. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a good day today. Um, that's one. And then the other thing is food. Rice is life for Filipinos, and and so yeah, I always just find rice everywhere. Um, that's one, and then the other probably would be idioms. I had a hard time adjusting to the idioms that you guys have, but I think I've gotten into it now. So I've gotten.
There are still some idioms that I don't always understand, so you're not alone on that. Americans definitely have a wide range of idioms that they use, and it varies by location too. So, whenever I go visit, maybe like the West Coast, not being from there or living there, I don't understand some of the idioms that they use. So you're definitely not alone.
Absolutely not. What about you, Lily?
Oh, actually, it's kind of similar to Shayla. It's, I guess it's our culture in Filipinos being a little bit shy, but here you need to be more communicative. So it's an adjustment for me at first. But I mean, generally people here are very nice, and so being more communicative to what you want to say. I mean, there will be always language barrier, but I mean, for me, I'm privileged to be able to speak English, and really great at it at some point. Yeah, be more communicative, more assertive, especially as a nurse and or as a person, because way back in the Philippines, I mean, it's really different. The setting is very different, especially with doctors and patients. So here in the U.S., you get to be more assertive, and they're okay with it, and they like it even more. So as a nurse, I mean, as a person, I love it because I'm able to kind of communicate what I need, what I want, and without them being mad at it, or it's part of the culture. But I mean, for patient wise, I mean, I'm able to be more assertive of my patient's need, that I need to communicate this to the doctor, to different department, or to even to their families. Like, hey, this patient need this, and this I think will be best for the patient. Something like that from day-to-day basis. So it's more on the communication. But yeah, I find it awesome here.
That's amazing. This is actually a great segue to our last question. What can healthcare professionals who are still waiting do now to prepare both the workplace and life here in the US?
Um, yeah, I'll continue. So I guess for us here, nurses is, patience. One of the main thing is patience. I know it's really hard, or it's a long journey, to be honest with you. I know Shayla will very know this much, but patience, and definitely our agency is a great place. They will help us all throughout our journey. So be mindful that, yeah, there will be a time that you will shine for sure. And, second thing is planning. Planning, there's a lot of things that can happen, but when you plan, you're more composed, and you're able to kind of, think about what are all the challenges, and you will be able to kind of overcome it. It's very overwhelming, but with planning, it will help you. And just like I said, Health Carousel, our agency, is a very wonderful place to be in. So I'm really proud that I'm here with y'all.
Absolutely. And we're also happy and excited to be part of your journey this far. What about you, Shayla?
Yeah, waiting can be really frustrating. Um, Sometimes you come to a point where you ask yourself if is it worth the wait, and all that. And but as they say, patience is a virtue, and there can be a lot of things that you can do while waiting. If you have if you have a facility already, and or if you have a state that you want to go into, do your research, like read on them and anticipate what you need so that you can plan on them. So as Lily said, planning is very important. So anticipate what you need when you get into the state or the facility that you're going to go into, and then plan on it. And Health Carousel has been really helpful with resources. So feel free to reach out and ask for help. And it's from my experience, it was also very helpful to chat with the other nurses that has gone before me, so they can help with, for example, apartment or like whatever they think that you will need come in here in the United States. And that's there, as I've said, a lot of resources. Just know what you need, anticipate um, the things that you will be doing, and do your research. Research is very important because planning is ineffective if you don't know what you're going into. So research, anticipating, and planning for those who are waiting. And I know, as I've said, it can be very frustrating, but waiting, it'll be worth it. And patience is a virtue.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shayla, Lily, for these great pieces of advice. It does go a long way for those who are waiting. Honestly, patience is indeed a virtue, and the planning phase will work it out because you're able to save money, you're able to research into the area you're going to. As the next segment comes along, you will see the cost of living in the US. And so these are great pieces of advice that I hope is so helpful for those that are waiting. And it is worth it. And we're glad to see Shayla and Lily doing great things and winning the Employee of the Month. So thank you so much, Shayla and Lily. Congratulations again for the incredible impact you're making in your communities. Your stories remind us that with courage, compassion, and the right support, nurses can thrive no matter where their journey takes them. We're so proud of the both of you and for being part of Health Carousel's family, and we can't wait to see what you accomplish next. Thank you both, Shayla and Lily. Now back to you, Courtney.
Thanks, Presley. And Shayla and Lily, congratulations again on winning Employee of the Month. Like Shayla said, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help as part of the full circle of support. That's what Health Carousel is there for, to help you through each step of the way. So your international employee supervisor wants to make your transition over to the United States go as smoothly as possible. So if you're worried about something or you don't know where to start your research, definitely don't be afraid to ask for help. That's what we're here for. We want to help you. And like Shayla and Lily both said, research is key, asking for help is key. And again, patience is a virtue. But congratulations, you two. And thank you so much for joining today.
Bye.
All right. So we are going to move on to our next exciting topic. It is our Life in the USA segment. So each month we focus on practical topics that are going to help you prepare for your transition to life in the United States. And this one is very essential. Through our pipeline, we currently have healthcare professionals from 108 different countries. So we know that you're moving to the United States from all over the world. And that is a huge transition that you might not know what is the first step to prepare for. And so that's what we're here to help you with. We want to help you understand how housing works in the United States. So from the different types of rentals to financial planning, it's all a key part of settling in confidently and safely. We know that housing can be very different, maybe where you're currently living, than it is in the United States. So I want to invite my colleague, Chloe. She is an international employee supervisor. Hi, Chloe.
Hi.
She is going to help break it all down and share how our team helps support you along the way. Chloe, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I thought I was going to have to get a tissue before hearing from Lily and Shayla. I was tearing up in here. And congratulations to the both of them. I think it was Lily said patience is a virtue, and just wait and you'll have your time to shine. And that had me tearing up at the end. So thought I was going to need a tissue.
They had some really great words of advice. And I know that it is hard for our healthcare professionals that are going through this process to have to wait. And like they kind of had the same concern, is it worth it in the end? So to hear from one of our nurses who is actively over in the United States and working and feeling supported by Health Carousel definitely means a lot. And I know they mentioned that they feel like they are doing their work with a purpose. And when I hear our nurses talk about all the great work that they're doing in the US, it makes me feel really good, and knowing that our team here in the office is doing our work with a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm really excited to be here, to talk about one of the most important parts of relocating to the U.S. I know finding housing, as someone, as an international employee supervisor, I know on a daily basis, sometimes I get questions about housing. So I'm always happy to talk about it.
Perfect. Well, we're excited to have you on today to chat. I do just want to do a quick reminder, since I've noticed we've had quite a few more people join since we first started the broadcast. As a reminder for those that maybe just joined, you might see that our chat feature is unavailable. Not to worry, if you do have questions, you will be able to reply to the email that you receive of the recording after the broadcast has finished. And like always, please reach out to your current assignee, no matter where you're at in the process. We want to make sure that your questions are getting answered. And we appreciate your understanding with the chat feature unavailable on this month's broadcast. But Chloe, let's dive into how our healthcare professionals will be able to understand how housing works in the United States. I'm excited.
Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite things to talk about. So, finding a place to live is one of the biggest steps in your move to the US, and we're here to help you navigate it. So, when finding a place to live, there are several different elements to consider, like housing costs, lease agreements, and rental requirements in the US that may be different from what you're used to. Sometimes navigating the process can get a little overwhelming. I know I get feedback all the time that it's overwhelming, but also very exciting, which is why our team is ready and available to help you navigate this exciting process. So you guys are in luck, because today we have a lot of great information about things like renting versus buying, the housing application process, types of rental options, and how to plan financially for housing expenses. So, as part of your full circle of support, our travel and housing team is here to assist you throughout this process, ensuring that you have the resources and guidance to make the best housing decision for you. So, I work with this team pretty often as an IES to help get my healthcare professionals in safe and secure housing. And the work they do is honestly incredible. They answer questions so quickly. So you are in very good hands, and they are very resourceful. So, one of the first decisions that you'll need to make about housing is whether you want to rent or buy a home. So, let's break down the differences so you can decide what's best for you. So, one of the biggest housing decisions you'll face is whether to rent or buy a home when you first arrive at the US. So, most international nurses start by renting before considering home ownership, because buying a home requires a US credit history, savings for a down payment, and mortgage approval, which those items might be a little overwhelming once you first arrive, but that's why we're here to review it so we can see what's best for you. So, your decision will depend on your financial situation, how long you plan to stay in a location, and whether you want flexibility to move easily. So, all this being said, let's break down some of the key differences between renting and buying so you can determine what makes the most sense for you. So, looking at some key factors to consider will be upfront costs, flexibility, credit history, maintenance and repairs. And for each of those, for upfront costs, a little thing to think about is that renting requires less money upfront, while buying requires a larger financial commitment, including a down payment and closing costs. And for flexibility, the difference can be seen as renting is ideal if you need the freedom to move, whereas buying is the best if you're looking for long-term stability. And then with credit history, many landlords will rent to you without a US credit history, but buying a home requires a strong credit score and mortgage approval. And then for maintenance and repairs, which I know that this is a big one that I run into with some of my healthcare professionals, is that when you rent, the landlord is responsible for the repairs. So give them a quick call and they will be able to take care of it for you. And then as a homeowner, you cover all of the maintenance costs. So that's also something to take into consideration as well. So if you're unsure which option is best, which I know there's probably several different things you're thinking of at the moment, and if you're still kind of unsure, our travel and housing team can help guide you based on your budget, location, and goals. And like I said before, they're really great with questions and honestly a fantastic resource. So you really are in good hands with that one. All right. And then now that we've looked at the benefits of buying versus renting, I want to focus a little bit more on the renting process, as most of our healthcare professionals find this to be the most cost-effective option when they first arrive in the US. So kind of you'll see on the screen here the rental process and what to expect. So the rental process in the US typically includes a property search, which is finding housing that fits your budget and is close to work. This is also something that the travel and housing team can assist you with. I know if my healthcare professionals are wanting to get closer to the facility or maybe closer to a school that's still in a good distance from their facility. I know commute to work is huge too. So travel and housing can assist you with that as well during the property search portion. And then the application portion. So once you find that place that you love, you find, or maybe a couple different options that you're looking at, you submit a rental application and a credit check may be required at this point. Again, if you have any questions during the process, please reach out to our team. We're more than happy to help you. And then from there, once you do the application, there will be a lease agreement. So you'll read and sign the lease contract before moving in. So big congratulations at that point, because you'll be able to move into your new place. And then the next part will be the security deposit. So you'll pay a refundable deposit, usually 1 month's rent. It can vary based on the place that you're renting from. So just be sure to have communication with your landlord. And again, any questions, feel free to ask our team. And then the next element is the move-in inspection. So this one might seem a little different. So it's really important when you move into your new place. I've definitely learned this in my experience with renting, is that you'll want to do an assessment of the place that you're moving into. So any kind of damages that you might see, anything in the flooring, with the walls, with the paint, kind of do a full inspection of the place and make sure to note that for your landlord. And that's kind of what goes in with the move-in inspection. And then the last part is the monthly rent payments. So I always say that it's always important to pay rent on time to build a strong rental history and also to build a good relationship with your landlord. That is also really important too. And then just a helpful tip is that as an international renter, you may not have a U.S. credit history or social security number yet when you go to rent. So landlords may ask for alternative documents like proof of employment, pay stubs, or references from past landlords. I know in my experience as an international employee supervisor, one of the things I provide is a landlord letter that kind of breaks down our program, gives kind of more insight and more support during that process. So that is one way that our team helps in these situations, but we definitely can assist if any additional paperwork is required. And then kind of finish out that segment is that our travel and housing team can assist with your application process, including helping you connect with landlords and understand your lease terms. Really, we are all hands on deck with, making sure you feel safe and secure in your housing, because you definitely need kind of a good home base to come back to after a long day of work. So it's incredibly important. And then before securing a rental, it's important to understand the upfront costs. So we were talking about the cost of housing in the US. So it's important to understand the upfront costs involved and ensure you have enough savings set aside. So we're going to go over how much you should plan to save for housing expenses so you're financially prepared before you arrive in the US. So once you've decided to rent, it's important to plan ahead financially so that you are fully prepared for the upfront costs of securing housing. So many rental properties require a security deposit, like I mentioned before, typically equal to 1 or 2 months rent. Like I said before, it's really important to have that communication with the landlord prior to the application process to see what that amount would be. And then this could be in addition to your first month's rent as well. So again, just have that conversation. If you need support, we're always there for you. And then having the right amount of savings set aside before arriving in the US will make your transition much smoother. I know that there's a lot of different elements that are happening once you first come to the US. So kind of managing that and, kind of having money management at the front end and not having to worry about that stress when you first arrive. I know a lot of my healthcare professionals have been like, oh, that was a lifesaver. So the recommended savings amount are based on an average timeline of starting work 1 month after arrival. So if your start date is further out, you'll need to plan for additional funds to cover rent and other essential expenses for an extended period. For individuals renting without dependents, we recommend saving between $2,500 and $3,000 to cover the first month's rent, security deposit, and other initial housing costs. Rent prices vary significantly depending on your location. So if you're moving to a high-cost area, you may need more. And then for individuals renting with dependents, we recommend saving between $4,000 and $6,000 to cover housing expenses for your entire family. The more dependents you have, the more you'll need to set aside to ensure a comfortable transition. And then for those who want to be fully financially prepared, we recommend saving $6,000 or kind of $8,000 or more. So this will allow you greater flexibility when choosing housing, covering potential delays in your start date or dealing with any unexpected expenses. And if you plan to bring a significant amount of cash, keep in mind that the maximum you can bring into the US without reporting it is $10,000. So securing housing, to kind of wrap everything up, is to secure housing before your arrival. It can help reduce financial stress as you'll know exactly what to budget for and won't have to worry about short-term accommodations. And honestly, it would help with, stress in general, because there is so much, to anticipate when moving to the US. And I know it may seem stressful and also exciting. I know I've said this a lot, but it's really important. If you ever need support or if you ever have questions, we're right there for you.
And if too, Chloe, just to interject, if you're unable to secure your permanent housing before you arrive to the US, not to worry. We're going to assist you with that process when you do arrive, whether it be calling different apartment complexes, if you do choose to rent, to get viewing set up. That way you do have a couple different options that you can go and view. And that way you're kind of kickstarting your research off once you do arrive in the US. So we're not going to leave you high and dry to find a place on your own. We'll try and help you to secure before you arrive to the US. So that way that's a burden that you don't have to worry about. But if not, your arrival specialist, your international employee supervisor will all be there to assist you. Travel and housing, like Chloe had mentioned. So full team there to have your back with your transition to the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, I've been on a FaceTime before when someone was doing a tour of their apartment. They're like, I just want to have someone to view it, make sure it's safe. So
yeah,
definitely all hands on deck with that one.
Yes, nice to have an extra set of eyes.
Yes. So I know we kind of moving from that. So now that we've covered more of the financial planning needed to secure housing, I wanted to talk a little bit about the rental options and what's available and how to decide which one's best for you. So kind of going into types of housing, so apartment complex versus private rental. So when you're looking at housing in the US, you'll generally find two main types of rentals. So you have listed here, you have apartment complexes. So these are usually large multi-unit buildings managed by a leasing office or property management company. And then you have private rentals. So this can be homes, townhouses, or small apartments units owned by by individual landlords. Sometimes, depending on location, you get lucky enough, and I've had actually someone who rented from a former health carousel employee, so that was exciting. So each option has its advantages depending on your preferences, lifestyle, and budget. So we'll go through kind of a quick comparison between the two. So apartment complexes are rental buildings or community-owned properties, usually owned by management companies. So they typically offer standardized lease agreements and include on-site amenities like gyms, pools, and community spaces. One advantage of apartment complexes is maintenance services. So if something breaks, there's usually a dedicated team available to fix it quickly. However, lease policies are less flexible and you may have less control over personalizing your space. And then with private rentals, they're typically homes, townhouses, or small apartment units owned by individual landlords. So they may allow more lease flexibility, meaning you might be able to negotiate your rent and kind of rental terms. However, in private rentals, maintenance responsibilities can fall on the tenant, so meaning that you may have to arrange for repairs yourself. So the trade-off is more privacy, more space, and fewer restrictions on customization. So that's something to think about as well. And then when deciding between these options, think about what matters most to you. So really think about, is it amenities and convenience or flexibility and privacy?
And one thing I want to add too, since we do get this question a lot, I feel like from our healthcare professionals, maybe they, don't have dependents, but they have a pet that they want to bring, or, the pet is part of their family along with their dependents. And a lot of places, if you're choosing to rent, might have a fee involved depending on what type of pet you have living with you, whether it be a cat or a dog. If you have a pet outside of a cat or a dog, then that's something to discuss with your landlord and look into and ask questions when you're looking for a place to live. Alongside with a fee for rent, there might also be breed restrictions. And since we do have a lot of healthcare professionals that want to bring along their fur babies, it's good to know kind of the fees that are involved if you are choosing to rent once you move to the US.
Yeah, definitely love seeing all the pictures of the fur babies. That's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Yes. So one of the things that I wanted to cover too with housing. So kind of now that we've looked at the differences between, renting at an apartment complex versus a private rental, I think it's important to talk about how some international renters face an additional challenge. So apply how to overcome that obstacle. So diving a little bit more into the additional challenge is that many international nurses, when they arrive to the U.S., don't have a U.S. credit score. They don't have a social security number or rental history, which can make it harder to get approved for a lease. But don't worry, there are some workarounds to help you secure housing, and we have plenty of experience with it, so we're there to support you. So some landlords may ask for alternative documentation, like proof of employment, a job contract, or an offer letter. This could also be the landlord letter that you'll get from your international employee supervisor. Bank statements showing financial stability, a larger security deposit if required, and a US-based cosigner or guarantor. So like I said before, you are not alone in this. Our travel and housing team can help you connect with landlords about the details of our program and kind of work around these issues that might come up. And then in the coming months, we will actually take a deep dive into understanding U.S. credit. So how to build credit, improve your credit score, and why it's important for future financial decisions, like buying a home or leasing an apartment. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming up in the coming months. So kind of with the next part is that since the rental process can take time, one of the best ways to reduce stress is to secure housing before you arrive. So here's kind of reasons that we've, seen on why it's great to plan and kind of secure housing before arriving. So here we have peace of mind. So knowing where you'll live before you arrive removes a huge stress from your transition. So you kind of know where your home base is going to be or have an idea. If you don't have it secured fully and have meetings set up with the landlords, that's great too. You'll have things to kind of look forward to once you arrive. And then with avoiding temporary housing costs. So instead of paying for hotels or short-term rentals, you can move straight into your home. So kind of get comfy, be able to rest. I know jet lag is a thing, so being able to take that time to really recoup is important as well. So better location choices. So you'll have more time to explore the neighborhoods, compare commute times, and find a place near your workspace. I know a lot of people have been able to, by securing housing prior to their arrival, they've been able to kind of build a community of support quicker and find different resources. I know everybody kind of finds their local Walmart, Kroger, Target, whatever that might be. That's always a fun discovery. And then also another benefit is faster financial planning. So knowing your rent amount in advance helps you create an accurate budget. So kind of planning before your start. And then establishing residency sooner. So having a local address is important for things like getting a driver's license, registering for schools for your children, and opening a bank account. And then with the smoother transition, it's with one less thing to worry about, you can focus on settling and kind of getting yourself established in the US and adjusting to your new life that you're going to be able to create. It's always a possibility to wait. I think Courtney said this before. It's always a possibility to wait until after your arrival to secure housing. So this gives you the opportunity to visit neighborhoods in person and better understand your new surroundings. I know safety is really important, so that could be an element to consider as well. But it can be time consuming and may come with added short-term housing costs. So our travel and housing team is there to assist you with securing housing before your arrival. And like I said before, this is kind of an element of the full circle of support you can get as an employee with us. So now that you have a better understanding of the housing process, let's wrap up with a few final thoughts. So like I said before, understanding your housing options and planning your move carefully will help your transition to the U.S. go more smoothly. As a part of your full circle of support, our travel and housing team and just our team in general is here to assist you with securing housing. So if you have any questions about navigating the rental process or answering any questions, we're right there for you. And if you haven't already, start researching housing options and budgeting for your move. We're here to help every step of the way. So you're in really good hands. And thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chloe. You did such a good job kind of breaking down the different options that our healthcare professionals have once they arrive in the United States when it comes to housing. I know that is a big stressor, especially when we've talked to our nurses who are currently in the US and working. That is something that they continuously bring up, is how overwhelmed they were trying to find a place to live. So I think Chloe had touched on this, but community is huge. When you're doing your research on where you want to live when you're in the US, maybe start off with the basics. I know a lot of our healthcare professionals think of like New York or California, but there are so many more locations. And depending on the type of community that you're looking for, you might find it in a state that you're unaware of, but having a community there to help you with your transition, and a community to talk to and help you with finding a house is going to be huge with your transition. So I think Shayla and Lily had touched on this too, but planning is key. So definitely, start with the basics and work up with your plan. But thank you again, Chloe, for giving us a lot of insightful information and a helpful look at what to expect with housing in the United States. It's definitely a good reminder that planning ahead is the key to feeling confident once you arrive in the United States.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Chloe. All right. So from understanding different rental requirements, knowing where to begin your research, having trusted support is all going to make a difference with your arrival. And that's what Health Carousel wants to do, is provide you with that support, let you know that we're here for you each step of the way. All right. So we are going to move on to our next segment. It is nursing in the USA. So we are going to focus on something that many of you have asked about, and that is growing your career as a nurse after you arrive in the United States. So whether you're just getting started or you're thinking about your next steps, this conversation will hopefully help you move forward with confidence in knowing your different options of how you can grow your career in the United States. I am going to welcome two of my colleagues, Ryan and John. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited. How are you guys doing?
We're doing really well.
Perfect. Good. Well, I know this is a question that we get a lot from our nurses. And actually, a conversation I had with one of our nurses the other day, I know it's not always an option for them if they choose to move to another country and work. They don't always have the option to grow their career. So I definitely know it's something that they want more information about, that they want to grow their career once they're in the United States. So I think that this segment will be very informative to all of our viewers that we have online right now.
No, thanks a lot, Courtney. And so a brief introduction of myself. I am Ryan. I am one of the clinical support nurses here at Health Carousel and also one of our career coaches. And with me is John.
And like you said, my name is John Laird. I am the success manager that gets the opportunity to work with all of our HCPs as they're coming to the end of their assignment, specifically helping them with continuing their education and that enrollment process.
Awesome. And so, yes, like Courtney said, we just wanted to talk a little bit about the career opportunities here at Health Carousel as you embark on your journey in the U.S. and really what opportunities lie ahead there for you. And so at Health Carousel, we talk a lot about the full circle of support, and one of those pillars being, accelerating your career. And that often starts with just understanding what your educational pathway could be or what opportunities are there for you to help, really accelerate through that. So for many nurses, especially those trained outside the U.S., it's not always clear what your step path looks like. But we definitely wanted to help support any, thoughts or ideas you may have to obtaining a BSN, a master's degree, wanting to maybe become a nurse practitioner down the road. And how does that degree fit into your long-term career planning? So, John, let's start right there and maybe talk through what exactly are nursing degrees and why do they matter for international nurses wanting to build their career in the U.S.?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have quite a few different MSN degrees and even NP options as you are wanting to progress your career, depending on which direction you want your career to go. If you're wanting to, become a nurse educator, or if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about the number side and getting your MSN in informatics. Or you could even, want to focus on bedside nursing. So you might get your NP in gerontology. So there's quite a few different options that we have when it comes to continuing education here in the United States.
Awesome. So how would, say, one of our Health Carousel nurses go about utilizing Health Carousel's help in terms of obtaining one of those degrees?
Yeah, so Health Carousel has a partnership with Chamberlain University, and we have a program designed to start after you finish your initial assignment with Health Carousel. The program is wonderful. It's designed around working nurses, and it is, many options, whether you need to get your BSN, your MSN, your NP, your DNP. We will help you through the entire enrollment process. And one of the big advantages is that it's a fully funded, paid for program for our international nurses.
Awesome. I know you said working nurses there. So what would working while achieving your nursing degree look like?
So Chamberlain has a program that is specifically designed around working nurses. So nurses that are working anywhere from 36 to 40 hours a week. They have a really structured program of being able to take a certain number of credits per 8-week session. That way, our working nurses aren't getting overwhelmed with the amount of education that they're trying to accomplish, and being able to, spend time with their family still, and, do those things that they need to do in the hospital as well.
Awesome. No, that's great information. So one last question I have for you is, what are the benefits of working with Health Carousel to gain the nursing degree that you may want to obtain?
Yeah, so I would say probably one of the biggest benefits is that, like I said, we fully pay for it. It's not a reimbursement program. We actually pay for it as you are in school. And then there's one of the other benefits is that there's no additional time commitment after you finish your degree program. So you're able to continue to move on to another school or another hospital or anywhere after that after you finish your education.
Awesome. And I guess a little curveball here, unplanned question. So say I arrive in the U.S., who or how would I go about connecting to maybe learn more about this opportunity once my career gets underway?
You can connect with your IES once you have your international employee supervisor assigned to you, and they can help you connect with either me or one of the clinical career coaches.
Awesome. No, thanks, John, for being, such a big part of the full circle of support and all of the valuable insight that you offer. So it's definitely appreciated.
Oh, absolutely. Now, we also know that pursuing an advanced degree isn't for everyone, especially maybe right when you come into the country. So we have some other options as well. As a nurse yourself, Ryan, I know that you're also one of our clinical career coaches, and I would like to ask you about some of the other options that we have that isn't necessarily going back to school and continuing their education, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can Health Carousel help their nurses who are wanting to grow and develop as professional nurse, but don't want to pursue an advanced degree?
That's a great question. And so there are two pathways, right? So we do understand that not everybody has, advanced education on their horizon, maybe not really something that's in the bag for them immediately. But, we definitely want to offer a lot of support to those nurses who want to pursue and grow within their clinical careers. And so the two main ways we do that is through our career coaching offerings with myself and other members of our clinical team, all nurses here at Health Carousel, to help just support and goal development, long-term, short-term goal, discussing maybe what it is you want to do and achieve throughout your nursing career. And then also through the clinical ladder, right? So Health Carousel's clinical ladder is a great way to help facilitate and gain a lot of the experience and things that go along with continuing your professional growth as a registered nurse.
Now, as a career coach yourself, what are some of the things that you specifically can do to help a nurse that is interested in one of our programs? What advice do you give them?
Right. So as a career coach, we work with all of our nurses and help kind of just understand what is going on for you in your current life, your current work life, clinical life there at your facility. What can we do to help support any clinical development goals you may have, maybe specific certifications, trainings that you want to achieve, or it could be something as simple as CE, obtaining CE credits and talking through, how do you go about getting those and how do you continue to grow and gain that education. And then the other big part is just goal development, right? A lot of what professionals, whether you're a nurse, a doctor, inside the hospital, outside the hospital, right? You're always focused on goal development so that you can have something to strive for and achieve. And so we break that down into short-term and long-term goals, talking through what those could be, and then help putting together a professional development plan to help kind of map out how you might be able to sort of set those stones to walk on moving forward to get to your clinical goals.
Absolutely. Now, all that sounds wonderful. Now, for one of our nurses that want to schedule with their clinical career coach, how do they go about doing that?
So we have our employee website you can go to, and there is under the full circle of support, the option and opportunity to schedule a time with a career coach where there will be different scheduling links to find a good time that fits your schedule. When you do arrive here to the U.S. at your 90-day mark into your assignment, you will be assigned a career coach, and that will be your career coach throughout your entire journey and career with Health Carousel. So you can connect with your IES, request help scheduling, or you can reach directly out to your career coach through one of those scheduling links.
Now, one of the other things that you mentioned was the clinical ladder. What is the clinical ladder?
Right. So clinical ladders, that's a very broad term. Everybody, has a little bit of their own definition. So clinical ladders originally really being generated within healthcare organizations, hospitals, and facilities is a professional growth tool that is used to help facilitate and encourage continued education and development of your healthcare staff, primarily focusing in on nursing. And so Health Carousel wanted to really meet this opportunity to grow and develop their nurses. And so we developed our own clinical ladder to help do that. And so it is a 4-tiered approach. And so as you progress through your tenure with Health Carousel, you have the opportunity to apply and climb up your ladder and really grow your professional journey. And so there are some requirements involved there in terms of what you have to achieve, and all those requirements are based on how do we develop and encourage you to grow, right? So whether it's obtaining CE credits, growing within your unit where you're working, if taking advantage of charge nurse opportunities, preceptor opportunities. Community volunteerism is a big thing that we pride ourselves on as healthcare workers, right? Giving back to the community and getting involved. So a lot of opportunity to complete the requirements that are there, again, designed to improve and grow as a professional, but it has a lot of great incentives and things that we are willing to offer to you really as again, fuel to your career growth, but also a reward for your wonderful success.
Well, you mentioned some incentives. So what are some of the benefits that's offered by Health Carousel's clinical ladder for all of its nurses?
Right. So keeping it clinically focused, really wanting to help nurses obtain those things that maybe they want to achieve, right? That do cost money, right? Unfortunately. So we understand that the financial burden to get some of these things can be, quite heavy. We wanted to offer this. So, starting with Professional Nursing Association memberships, as you embark on your clinical ladder journey through Clinical Nurse One, we'll actually pay for your membership to join maybe your nationality specific nursing association. And then as you get to Clinical Nurse 2, we'll then help, pay for your membership to your specialty specific nursing association. So like if you're a med-surg nurse, which I believe like 50% of our nurses,
almost,
and a majority of the nurses in the US work in the medical surgical environment. That would be like the Academy of Medical Surgical Nursing. Mm-hmm. We would pay for your membership to join that association. And then as you progress further, the things, kind of grow in terms of their impact. So we would also, as you get to Clinical Nurse 3, help pay for you to become a certified specialty nurse. So again, your med-surg nurse certification, you could be a critical care certified nurse. Those things that, again, represent career growth and achievement. But also, at the same time, we want to help support, the financial impact that can have trying to pursue that goal. And then, some of the smaller things that we help with is, if you need CE credits, you have access through your HealthStream account that you are enrolled into as you begin your preparation to come to the United States. You have continued access to that account throughout your entire career with Health Carousel. And so that's a great place to go to get what are known as continued education credits that you need for your licensure renewal within the state where you're licensed each renewal period. And then finally, clinical ladders are just great ways to demonstrate career growth, build your resume, and show either your current facility or future employers down the road on the journey you want to take, what you've done to not remain stagnant in your career, right? The best way it was explained to me is doing all of these things helps demonstrate that after school, you didn't just stop learning. You continue to learn and update yourself with the best practices within your specialty. And then it's a great way to get some recognition, some swag items from Health Carousel, and then also
who doesn't enjoy some free swag?
A great bonus associated with it as well.
Well, I really appreciate your insight in this as a nurse yourself and as one of our clinical career coaches. I know that it's exciting opportunities, whether you're wanting to get your education or you're wanting to just progress in your clinical ladder. So I really appreciate your insights on this.
Oh, absolutely. I love talking about it. So I encourage everybody to take advantage of the opportunities, whether it's just having a conversation with your career coach to see what your options are, right? Like I said, everybody's different. People are complex, and some avenues are for some people and some aren't. but you never know until you start to communicate those things and take advantage of resources available. So whether it's earning a new degree or climbing the clinical ladder or taking steps to grow as a professional nurse, the message is clear. Your journey doesn't have to stop once you arrive in the United States. So at Health Carousel, we provide our healthcare professionals with a full circle of support, walking you through it every step of the way. No matter what you want to do with your career, there's always room to grow. So definitely here to be a part of that.
Yep. We both love talking to people, as you can tell. So please reach out to us with any questions you have.
Thanks, Ryan. And thanks, John. All of that was so informative. And along with the full circle of support, for those of you that are online, if you're already part of the program, you may know that we have a resource center, and you'll be able to find all of this information that Ryan and John covered today in the resource center. Or if you have not joined our program yet, and maybe you're weighing your options, know that if you do join, that is when your access will be granted to the resource center. So you'll be able to, have access to all the information that is not only covered by Ryan and John, but so much more on all the benefits of the program, how you're supported, all the different options that you have. So that is something to maybe add onto your list for agencies that you're looking for support. But thank you again, Ryan and John, for everything that you have covered today. It was so informative, and I know our audience is really appreciative of it.
Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, what an inspiring conversation about the many ways that international nurses can grow their careers once they arrive in the United States, and all the different options that they have and how we support them. All right. So we are going to move on to our next segment, and one of my favorites, and hopefully yours too. It is going to be our featured location. So this month we are going to feature the state of Massachusetts. I personally have never visited Massachusetts before. I've been to a few different states on the East Coast, but Massachusetts is definitely on the list of states that I want to visit. I've had a couple friends that have lived there, and they've had nothing but great things to say. I know that we have a couple employees that have lived in Massachusetts, and they have absolutely loved it. So I'm excited to get into this topic today. I am going to invite my colleague, Annette. She is on our accounts team. I'll let Annette introduce herself, but we are going to dive into all the exciting things that Massachusetts has to offer, whether it is all the fun things that you can get into, the weather, what it's like working there. So Annette, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And again, like Courtney said, my name's Annette. I manage the account team here. We work with many facilities in many different states, and I'm so excited to talk to you about all things Massachusetts. That's a hard one to say for all of us, no matter what.
Yes.
It's a tiny state, but a mighty state, from world-class healthcare to fabulous seasons, and it's very rich in American history, and many people who don't live in this state do go there for vacations and to visit, because there's amazing things to do. And it's a great place to launch your nursing career.
Perfect. Thanks, Annette. Well, also, in case you didn't know, Massachusetts is also known for its top-ranked hospitals. Definitely rich in history. There's urban, coastal living. Many of you might know the city of Boston. That is a big city that I feel like a lot of our healthcare professionals are at least aware of. But then there's a lot of smaller, more family-friendly towns. So if you haven't heard of Massachusetts before, and this is your first time, definitely do your research and see what it has to offer. It offers a unique blend of professional opportunities, different cultural experiences. And as you can see on the map here, I know we have our chat feature unavailable today, but we're still going to play our quadrant game. So you can see there's 4 quadrants, and you might be wondering where Massachusetts is at. I might have given a spoiler alert saying that it was on the East Coast. So we are going to narrow it down to quadrant number 2.
Ta-da!
All right. And if you can see where that little star is, like Annette said, it is a small but mighty state. So Annette, I will hand the mic over to you so we can dive deeper into all that Massachusetts has to offer.
Absolutely. Good old Massachusetts. It gives you, it's let's talk about what it's like to live there, from its four seasons to the cost of living and everything in between, because Massachusetts will truly give you the four-season experience. It has stunning fall foliage, snowy winters, blooming springs, and warm, breezy summers. So whether you're heading to work or taking a weekend trip, every season in Massachusetts brings something unique, and that's what makes it fun to visit, even if you don't live there. So let's crisp, snowy, and perfect for cozy days at home or winter fun like skiing and ice skating. If you haven't done that before, this is a great opportunity to do that, and it's extremely fun. The temperatures there, though, can range from -6 degrees Celsius to 4 degrees Celsius, so 20 degrees Fahrenheit to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a great time to enjoy what we call New England and the famous holidays and traditions and community events there. Snow-covered streets, historic town centers lit with twinkling lights, steaming cups of hot chocolate create a warm and festive winter. And this is a place where those type of things happen all the time. And to highlight and explore Massachusetts winter is what we call Wachusett Mountain. It offers skiing, snowboarding, and snow tubing, and it's just a short drive from Boston. So this would be a great place to experience skiing if you've never done it before. Snowboarding is a blast, and so is tubing. So if you can't ski or don't know how to ski or are afraid to ski, sitting in an inner tube and going down the side of a mountain might be more your thing. Not sure, but all of them are fun winter activities. And then we have spring. So spring's March through May. It ranges in temperature from 4 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius, so 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. As you can see from this picture, it's a beautiful place. Spring is a time of renewal. As temperatures warm up, parks come alive, people come out. After that winter hibernation, they come out to watch the cherry blossoms bloom. Farmers markets open up across the state. You start being able to go to these markets and get produce. It's a wonderful season for families to explore nature and local events. So everybody's coming out, seeing each other again, going to all these fabulous places, and just experiencing the nice weather at that time of the year. A place to explore during that time of the year is the Boston Public Garden, and it's America's first public botanical garden. It bursts with color and perfect for a weekend stroll. So this is a destination also. It's a really cool place to go to that has a lot of different plants and flowers and things to look at this time of year. And then we have summer. Summer here is June through August, ranging from 16 degrees Celsius to 28 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Fahrenheit to 82. So it doesn't get super hot. It's a nice 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Summers in Massachusetts are all about outdoors, right? With temperatures ranging the way they are, you'll find opportunities to hike, attend festivals, and relax by the water. And the water is a big attractor for most people. From you have New England clam shacks to sailboats in the harbor. Summer days are long and breezy and full of local charm, and the water and the seafood are amazing. And some things to do in the summer, it would be to go to the Cape Cod National Seashore. It's a scenic coastal area filled with beaches, walking trails, charming seaside towns to explore. And some of these seaside towns are so unique and quaint and cute that it could be a weekend trip. It's a lot of fun just to stay there if you don't necessarily live by the water. And then finally, we have fall. So fall is September through November. The temperatures range from 5 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius or 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 65. So again, it's a very nice climate and time to experience in Massachusetts. It's absolutely breathtaking, as you can see by this picture. This is when all the leaves change, and people will flock to this part of the country just to see the brilliant colors. of red, gold, and orange. Communities come to alive with harvest festivals, apple picking, pumpkins, seasonal celebrations. You can feel it in the air there, and it's just amazing. And the roads that wind through forests of color, there's apple cider flows, local farms. Every weekend feels like a postcard moment, and it's indescribable or undescribable the way it looks. You almost have to be there to experience, and to be able to live there and experience it is amazing. Some things to do in the fall. There's a Quabbin Reservoir. It's a big body of water surrounded by all this foliage that you see, and it's perfect for a scenic drive or a peaceful nature walk. It's just fun to be out in the nature when this time of year when this happens. So, with all that said, hopefully I could let you know how amazing that state is, but we want to go over what does it cost to live in Massachusetts. So Massachusetts has a cost of living index around 127, which is a little higher than in U.S. national average. However, with higher pay rates, especially for nurses, and a strong healthcare job market, it remains a rewarding place to build your career. Now, housing varies across the state. Boston and surrounding cities can be more expensive, but smaller towns like Worcester, and I know that's not how they say it, but that's how I say it, Springfield and Lowell offer more affordable rents options with a great quality of life. So you don't have to live in Boston to be able to experience all the cool things that the state has to offer. Groceries also tend to be slightly above average, but the local markets and store brands can help you stretch your budget. That's no different than anywhere else. And really cool thing about Massachusetts is it has a strong public transportation system, especially in the Boston metro area, which can reduce the need for a personal vehicle. And if you do drive, be mindful of the parking costs in urban areas. But the fact that there's public transportation makes it a unique place to live. Let's see. Then there's some entertainment that Massachusetts has to offer, from free museums to outdoor festivals. There's always something to do. Massachusetts is rich in culture, nature, and local traditions, which many are budget friendly or free. It doesn't cost anything to take that scenic drive that we talked about through the hills to look at that foliage, or to visit the seashore or things like that. So to wrap up our featured location, as you can see, Massachusetts offers more than just a place to work. It's a place to grow your career, enjoy American culture, and create memories with your family. With strong hospitals, scenic surroundings, and welcoming communities, it's a destination many international nurses come to love. You may know somebody there already that be able to talk a little bit more about all this, but it's a great place to live, and it's a great place to visit as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Annette, for sharing all of that information about Massachusetts. Like I mentioned earlier, I've never been to the state before, but after hearing about everything that has to offer, I kind of want to go. Yes. And I'm definitely into running, and that might not be everybody's cup of tea, but a fun fact is the Boston Marathon is held in Boston, Massachusetts, and it's one of the biggest marathons, and you actually have to qualify for it. But I was looking up some information since it just happened last month in April, and it's 128 years old. So wow. If you're into running and you want to do a race once you're over in the United States, Massachusetts might be the state for you. But
great point. Thanks,
thank
Courtney.
you so much. Yeah, and thank you for walking us through everything that has to offer and helping our nurses have a better understanding and kind of painting a picture of what life could look like for them in the Bay State. All right. Now we are going to go to a topic that I believe everybody waits around for when joining this broadcast. I know it's a topic that's at the top of the mind for all of our viewers, and it is going to be this month's Visa Bulletin. So we are going to understand the latest priority date movements and how it might impact your timeline. I'm going to invite my colleague, Elizabeth, our Associate Director of Immigration and Licensing. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you doing today?
Hi, Courtney. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I know after hearing Annette tell us everything about Massachusetts, you're feeling a little bit homesick.
Yes, I am one of those people who I lived in Boston, Massachusetts for about 10 years. I loved every minute of it. Massachusetts is one of my favorite states. There is so much to do, as Annette shared. There's just so much to do. You have access to pretty much anything you want to do. If you love the mountains, if you love hiking, if you love the water and water activities. I went on a whale watching trip out to sea, which was amazing. You can go short drive to Western Massachusetts or up into New Hampshire to climb mountains. One of my favorite things, and as you talked about the Boston Marathon, it's a huge deal in the city. A lot of people have the day off of work, off of school, and everyone comes out to support the runners, and it's just a big festive day. And one of my favorite days in the city as well. So there's children's museums, there's all kinds of things, parks, so much to do. It's a fantastic. Just have a good coat for the winter.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that has kept me from visiting, since I particularly don't like the cold, but I think I need to go in the summer then, because it sounds like there's so much to do out there.
And the fall. The summer and the fall are the best times of the year. They have a very long fall. And like Annette mentioned, the foliage is just amazing, especially if you get up into some of the other New England states, into New Hampshire and Vermont, and even into Maine. It's just an incredible area of the country.
Yeah, definitely beautiful. Going to move it up on my list of states that I need to go visit next, because I haven't gotten to venture around the East Coast all that much. But I think I'm sold after hearing you and Annette talk about it.
Absolutely. Well, as you know, I'm here to talk about the Visa Bulletin. And just this week, the June Visa Bulletin did come out. It was released. And exciting news again, for this month, we had some activity. As you may be aware right now, for May, the Philippines, the all chargeability, which is anywhere not listed on the Visa Bulletin, so any country other than China, India, Mexico, falls into the all chargeability category, also referred to as rest of world. And then Mexico, we're all holding at January 1st, 2023, but for June, they are moving forward 1 month and a week to February 8th, 2023. So it's very exciting. If you have a priority date before February 8th, 2023, you have now become current. For India, there was no movement, unfortunately, in the EB3 category, and China moved forward 2.5 weeks for the June Visa Bulletin to November 22nd, 2022. Similar movement with the EB2 category. If you fall into the EB2 category, for example, if you're a physical therapist, so most of our registered nurses, as you may be aware, you're going to be in that EB3 category. EB2 category for physical therapists did have a good movement for the month of June as well. The Philippines, the rest of the world, or all chargeability, and Mexico move forward 4 months in the EB2 category. India, again, unfortunately had no movement, and then China moved forward 2 months to December 1st, 2020. So this is all exciting, good news. Forward movement is always a good thing to see. And all of these dates will go into effect on June 1st. As this is the June Visa Bulletin as of right now. For the rest of May, we're holding at January 1st, 2023. If you're not familiar with the Visa Bulletin, if you're new and this is your first live broadcast, or you haven't had an experience discussing the Visa Bulletin, you might be asking what it is. This is the chart of priority dates. It is basically your date in line to proceed with an immigrant visa. So priority date is established on the day that your I-140 petition has been received with USCIS. Once you have an approved I-140, your priority date is going to be locked in, and then you will wait until your priority date becomes what is called current, per this chart, the Visa Bulletin, that is released once a month by the Department of State. So things you can do while you're waiting, if your priority date is After February 8th, 2023, things you can be doing while you wait is, we're going to be collecting your documents from the net to send to the National Visa Center. If you've reached the point where you can complete your DS-260, you'll want to be doing that. If you haven't reached the point where you can be completing your DS-260, you can be thinking about the responses. They're going to be asking you, your work history, your residential history. So if you've lived in a lot of different places, you'll want to be collecting and gathering those addresses and trying to remember when you lived, where you lived, and where you've worked and those dates that you've worked. Collecting your documents, making sure that you have a valid passport, and practicing your English. Making sure that you've passed your English. If you haven't passed your English, you want to make sure that you're focusing on that, gaining, experience working as a nurse, so that when your priority date becomes current and the National Visa Center is ready to send over your case to the embassy abroad to schedule your interview, that you've had experience, that you've been able to gain a client assignment in the U.S. and are ready to go for your embassy interview.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And it is so exciting to see, some positive movement. I know we've talked a lot about patience and having to play the waiting game during this process, and it can be a bit discouraging at times, but this is a good motivator, and I think shows that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Not only seeing positive movement on the Visa Bulletin, but also hearing from our employees of the month who are working in the US and had to, play the waiting game and go through this whole process too. So all of that is very encouraging to all of our listeners that have joined today. And I appreciate you kind of breaking down the process for them too. I know we have our chat feature unavailable for today, but we do tend to see a lot of questions come through from our healthcare professionals about the process, how long it takes. And so I want to just kind of go through a few, it might be reiterating some of the information we've gone through, but I know these are top concerns for our healthcare professionals. And sometimes it can be information overload to hear all of it at once. So I just want to highlight a few questions that we did get sent in from our healthcare professionals, and just hopefully break down and give them a very clear understanding. That way, if these are their top concerns, they are getting their questions answered. I know this one is difficult, but it is a question that we get all the time. And it's, how long will this process take? And it kind of goes hand in hand with when will my priority date be current?
Yeah, so the I-140 process itself, if we're going to premium process the I-140 petition, that will render a decision in 15 business days. So that is, as I mentioned, the petition that establishes the priority date. So once that has been approved, the I-140 petition has been approved, that's going to lock in that priority date. And then that date, the priority date that's on your I-140 petition, is kind of going to be the date that determines how long the rest of your journey is going to take. So the priority date is established for our registered nurse I-140 process. Is going to be established the date that USCIS receives that I-140 petition. We overnight them via FedEx. So once they receive it and they've received it into their mailroom, that is the date that your priority date is going to be. And you're going to take that priority date and you're going to look at the Visa Bulletin that's up on the screen and kind of cross-reference your category, which is going to be the EB3 category for our registered nurses, and your country of birth. So if you were born in the Philippines, you would go to the Philippines column under the EB3 category, and you'll look at that date, which for June, as I said, will be February 8th, 2023. And then you're going to look at the priority date on your I-140 approval notice, and kind of gives you a rough estimate of how long you'll be waiting. And then once your priority date becomes current, then things can move quickly. You have to wait for the embassy to receive your file, your paperwork from the National Visa Center, but they'll automatically, as soon as your priority date becomes current, the National Visa Center will be sending that over to the embassy that you had selected on your I-140 petition, and you will wait for them to schedule that embassy interview.
Perfect. Thank you so much for breaking that down and giving our listeners, the resource on where they can find the Visa Bulletin. And if you do have a priority date, make sure that you tune in each month so that way that you can see the updates on the Visa Bulletin and ask questions if you have them about your current priority date. A question that we get a lot as well is, any advice on how to prepare for life in the USA? And Elizabeth covered some things that you can do while you're maybe waiting, while going through this process, that will help you prepare for your life in the USA. And we covered a lot of topics in today's broadcast that will hopefully help you create a list of maybe where to start your plan, where to start your research. If you tuned in last month, we were able to talk to our employees of the month, and they had some great advice on preparing for life in the USA by familiarizing yourself with the type of equipment and how to pronounce the names of the medications that are used in the USA. That was something that I think was a bit of a shock to them when they came over. And I thought that was really interesting and insightful advice for all of our listeners. So make sure while you're practicing your English that you're also looking up how to pronounce the names of medications, familiarizing yourself with maybe the equipment that you might be using in the United States. So that way, when you do start working in a US hospital, you're a little familiar with that. As part of our full circle of support, we do provide you with a transition to practice. So we will definitely prepare you for working in a US hospital with every step involving in the type of equipment, getting you set up for your orientation and preparing you, for that transition of work. Along with advice to prepare is do your research on location. We highlighted the state of Massachusetts today, and there are plenty other states that you might be happy living and working in. And think about what's important to you, where you're currently living now, and what you want to be available to you once you're in the United States, whether it be a school for your children, whether it be a sense of community, or, we highlighted all the great activities there are to do outdoors in Massachusetts, and maybe that's important to you, and you want that to be available to you when you move to the US. So do research on everything that you currently have, access to now, and maybe what you want to add access to with your life. Elizabeth, do you have any other advice for how our healthcare professionals can prepare for their life in the USA?
It's all great advice, and I'll reiterate too, is just remembering that even if you have passed your English, you want to keep practicing English as much as you can so that when you are able to arrive, that's one less thing to be worried about because you've been practicing and you're ready. There are going to be nuances that you're going to pick up once you arrive in the US and start speaking. It's even varies by state. So, understanding Massachusetts has a very strong New England accent that can be hard for other people in other parts of the country alone to understand. So understanding that, if you have a good grasp on English language, you'll be good and you'll fit in, you'll pick up the nuances. And then again, gaining bedside experience so that you are, practicing working as a nurse so that when you are, transitioning, you're comfortable, your skills are current and relevant, and that would make a nice, smoother transition as well. And watching the live broadcast, because we provide a lot of information. Each month we highlight a different state, so you can kind of start thinking about, what, like Courtney said, like what would suit your needs and your lifestyle and what you like to do.
Perfect. Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, I feel like today had a lot of insightful information. We covered a lot of topics. So make sure to keep an eye out on your email for the recording to come through, so that way you can go back and rewatch if you weren't able to watch a full segment, or maybe you didn't fully understand the segment. And if you do have questions, make sure that you reply to that email. Or if you're already, part of the program, make sure you're reaching out to your current assignee. Like I've reiterated multiple times, we want to answer your questions and make sure that nothing's going on unanswered, or that you don't have any, outlying concerns that are maybe stressing you out. Or if you haven't joined our program so far, reach out to a recruiter. We would love to connect with you over the phone and talk about all the other benefits we have to offer and get you going in your program. But I want to thank you, Elizabeth, for your time today and giving us an update on the Visa Bulletin. I know our healthcare professionals that tune in love this segment and wait for this segment to come. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Well, thank you all for joining today. I hope you found this live broadcast as informative and helpful as I did. Again, if you have questions, please reach out and let us know. I'm already looking forward to next month in June when we return for the live broadcast. If you need anything at all, reach out. But thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful morning, a wonderful afternoon, or a wonderful evening, wherever you are tuning in from in the world. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.